My husband's spiritual sister took over our home, so I let them plan their secret escape before dropping a bombshell. I was standing in my own kitchen, holding a $400 Japanese chef's knife that I didn't buy, looking at a refrigerator stocked with organic kombucha I don't drink, when I realized I was officially a ghost in my own life. My husband, David, and I have been married for 8 years. We're that couple people call solid. He's a high school history teacher with a laugh that carries across football fields, and I'm a graphic designer who works from home. For years, our house was a curated mess of my half-finished art projects and his stacks of ungraded essays. It smelled like old books and too much espresso. It was ours. Then came the restoration. Not of the house, but of David's sister, Chloe. Chloe is 26, ethereal, and chronically between lives. Last year, she went through a devastating breakup with a guy who lived in a yurt, and she landed on our doorstep with 3 suitcases and a weeping willow of a personality. David, being the protective older brother, told me it would just be for a month while she got back on her feet. That was 14 months ago. At first, it was small. Chloe would move a vase because the energy flow was blocked. Then she'd reorganize the pantry because my preference for store-brand cereal was toxic to the gut. I'm a conflict avoider by nature, the kind of person who apologizes to the person who stepped on my foot, so I let it slide. I'd just laugh it off to David. She's just nesting, Sarah, he'd say, pulling me into a hug. She's had a hard time. Let her feel like she has a home for once. It's not hurting anyone, right? But the tension started to itch. It was the way she'd look at my work-from-home setup, a desk in the corner of the living room, and sigh. It's so cluttered, Sarah, she'd murmur while sipping her lemon water. I feel like the creative energy in here is being strangled by all these cables. Don't you feel it? I feel like I'm hitting a deadline, Chloe, I'd snap, but she'd just give me this pitying look, like I was a sick child who didn't know I had a fever. The incidents escalated. 3 months in, I came home to find she had painted our guest bathroom of meditative sage without asking. David thought it looked great. 6 months in, she donated a box of my old college t-shirts because they didn't align with the aesthetic of the house. David told me I should be happy she was helping me declutter. The first major revelation happened on our 8th anniversary. I had planned a quiet night in. I'd bought expensive steaks and a vintage Bordeaux. I wanted to remind David that we still existed. When I walked in the door, the house was dark, lit only by about 50 beeswax candles. There was a weird, rhythmic drumming coming from the speakers. Chloe was sitting on the floor with David. They were doing a breathwork ceremony. Oh, Sarah, David whispered, looking like he was in a trance. Chloe's helping me process some of the generational trauma from Dad's side. You should join us. It's our anniversary, David, I said, my voice trembling. Chloe didn't even open her eyes. Time is a construct, Sarah. David is finally connecting with his inner self. Don't bring that low vibration energy in here right now. David didn't get up. He just looked at me with this distant, glassy-eyed expression and said, "Can we just do the steaks tomorrow? This is really important." I ate a bowl of cereal in the dark on our back porch while they chanted in the living room. That was the first time I felt the glue of our marriage starting to dry up and flake away. The real shift happened last month. I'd been feeling increasingly unwell, fatigued, nauseous, just off. I thought it was the stress of my house being colonized. I went to the doctor, and it turned out I wasn't sick. I was 10 weeks pregnant. I was terrified and thrilled. We had talked about kids for years, but the timing never felt right. Now, it felt like the universe was giving me a reason to finally reclaim my space. A nursery. A reason for Chloe to move out. I went home early to tell David. I wanted it to be a big moment. But when I walked in, I heard voices coming from David's office. "She's just not on our level, Dave," Chloe was saying. Her voice was sharp, none of that ethereal softness. "She's a laborer. She works, she eats, she sleeps. She doesn't expand. You're becoming a different person, and she's just baggage." "She's my wife, Chloe," David said, but his voice was weak. It lacked the defensive fire I expected. "For now," Chloe replied. "But imagine this house as a sanctuary. We could turn the living room into a studio. We could host retreats. You don't need a wife who spends 8 hours a day staring at a screen and getting mad about paint colors. You need a partner in consciousness." There was a long silence. Then, David spoke. "I just don't know how to tell her the lease on the new space fell through. If she finds out I spent the savings on the foundation, she'll lose it." I leaned against the wall, my heart hammering. The savings. Our $25,000 down payment for a larger house. The money I had worked overtime for 3 years to earn. I didn't confront them. I went back out the front door, waited 5 minutes, and then came in normally, pretending I'd just arrived. I didn't tell him about the baby. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in acting. I was the perfect wife. I agreed with Chloe. I started drinking the kombucha. I even asked her for a reading. While she was cleansing my aura with a piece of Palo Santo, I accidentally knocked over her laptop. When she went to the kitchen to get a cloth, I saw it. The foundation wasn't a retreat, it was a joint bank account in David and Chloe's names. And the foundation had been spending money on things that weren't very spiritual, Chloe's credit card bills, a designer wardrobe, and, this was the kicker, a non-refundable deposit on a long-term rental in Bali for 2 people. Departure date, 3 weeks from now. David wasn't just letting her stay, they were planning a spiritual pilgrimage together. He hadn't mentioned it to me. He was planning on leaving me. He was going to walk out on our life, with our savings, and leave me in a house that didn't even feel like mine anymore. I realized then that Chloe wasn't some lost soul. She was a parasite who had found the perfect host in her brother's midlife crisis. Last night was Chloe's going-away blessing. She'd invited all her high-vibe friends over to our house. David was beaming, wearing a linen shirt I'd never seen before. I waited until the gratitude circle started. Everyone was sitting cross-legged on the floor of my living room. I just want to thank David, Chloe said, clutching a crystal to her chest. For recognizing that family is about more than just blood or legal documents, it's about soul alignment. It was my turn. I have a lot to be grateful for, too, I said, standing up. I didn't sit on the floor. I stood. I'm grateful for the foundation. It really opened my eyes. David's face went from zen to terrified in approximately 0.5 seconds. I'm also grateful for technology, I continued. Because when I saw the foundation bank statements, I was able to track exactly where our $25,000 went, and since my name was never taken off the joint account that funded it, I was able to transfer the remaining $18,000 into a private account this morning. The room went dead silent. Chloe started to say something about negative projections, but I cut her off. And since David is so committed to soul alignment and leaving for Bali in 3 weeks, I've decided to help him lighten his load. David, I've packed your things. They're in the garage. Along with yours, Chloe. Sarah, let's talk about this privately, David stammered, standing up. Oh, we're past private, I said. I pulled a small, white plastic stick out of my pocket and laid it on the coffee table next to Chloe's crystals. I was going to tell you we were having a baby. But then I realized that this baby deserves a father, not a student of consciousness who steals from his wife to go on a vacation with his sister. The high-vibe friends started looking for their shoes. Chloe looked at the pregnancy test like it was a live grenade. You're lying, Chloe hissed. You're just trying to manipulate him. Get out, I said. My voice wasn't loud. It was cold. Both of you, the locks are being changed at 8 a.m. Since you love flow so much, Chloe, you can go flow into a Motel 6. And David? My lawyer will be in touch about the foundation funds. I'm sure a judge will have a very interesting reading on where that money belongs. They're gone. David tried to come back this morning, crying, saying he was under a spell, that he didn't realize how far it had gone, that he never intended to actually go to Bali, he just wanted to feel seen. I didn't open the door. I'm sitting in my kitchen now. The beeswax candles are in the trash. The meditative sage bathroom is getting repainted white tomorrow. It's quiet. But here's the uncomfortable truth I realized while I was scrubbing the scent of Palo Santo out of the curtains. I knew. I knew he was drifting months ago. I knew the money was moving. I could have stopped it early. I could have fought for my marriage when it was just a small crack. But a part of me, a dark, exhausted part, wanted him to ruin it. I wanted him to do something so unforgivable that I wouldn't have to be the nice guy anymore. I let him walk into the trap so I could have a reason to burn the bridge. Am I the asshole for letting my husband blow up our life just so I could finally have a quiet house? Or am I just the only one who finally woke up? I'm 12 weeks pregnant now. The house smells like bleach and fresh paint. It doesn't smell like us anymore. It just smells like me. And honestly, it's the best I've felt in years.